Hey folks, this is Kalani. Welcome back to another Shadowlands Alpha video. One of the huge changes coming in the next expansion is the changes to how leveling is going to work. We're all being squished down to a new level bracket of 1 to 60, with 60 being the max level we can get in the Shadowlands expansion. If you're currently level 120 in Battle for Azeroth, you'll end up at level 50 when the pre-patch for Shadowlands goes live. The whole leveling experience from 1 to 50 will change considerably and give you way more options when compared to previous expansions. You can literally choose whatever expansion you want to level through, but there's one amazing change to go alongside all of this. The new starting area called Exile's Reach. Any players who are brand new to the game will play through this new intro experience, which is designed from the ground up to give them the best chance of success. If the first thing you play through in a game isn't enticing or exciting and is just generally confusing, chances are you won't want to continue playing. Exile's Reach is the dev team's answer to all of those problems. So let's break down the new starting experience in this video, what it looks like, how it plays, and how long it will take to get through. The first thing you would probably notice, or at least that I noticed, was the new tutorials. There are so many tutorials now, and they cover everything from movement to opening various windows and tabs, equipping gear, clicking on targets, dragging spells from your spellbook onto your bars, targeting the right enemy, various ways to engage in combat, how to progress quests, and even how vendors work. It was a bit much for someone who already knows all of that, but for anyone who is brand new to the game, I doubt they would have any questions left about most of the UI or basic systems of the game after going through this experience, with all of these tutorials showing them exactly how they can interact with the game world. Good job there, Blizzard. The experience itself starts on a boat. Now, bear in mind we only have access to the Alliance side of this story for now. I believe it will be more or less the same for the Horde. I wouldn't see any reason why it would be significantly different, just swap out the NPCs here and there. We won't know for sure until it's available for testing though. So we start out on a boat, warming up with some training dummies, getting the good old auto attack swinging, then we move on to some moving targets, and boy does this chap hop around a lot, but that's a good thing, right? It's a good point to make for newer players. Always face your target. I think this is a good little way of showing them how to make sure they're actually damaging their enemy instead of just getting hit in the face, or the back, I guess. And a little bit after that we crash land on the island and meet the mortal enemy of every noob that ever noobed, the Murlocs. They've stolen our medkits, because of course they have, so we need to get them back to help the wounded who only just survived our crash. After collecting up some supplies, we can nurse our friends back to health. I think the best part of this quest is that we get a bag called Empty First Aid Kit after it, so not only do you expand your inventory space very quickly, but they tie it into the quest as well. Very cool. Then we go on to meet a starving Draenei and learn the importance of food. We can gather up raw meat from the local beasties and cook it up on a fire. Sadly, they didn't include the part where you would actually need to learn the cooking profession to do this for real, but it's a nice little glimpse of cooking nonetheless. The coolest part in this entire island comes next though. After realizing that the dreaded Quillboar were waiting for us around the next corner, our leader for this expedition thinks we need a little more training in the ways of our classes. Each class will get a unique test that helps them understand the basics of some of their, well, basics. For warriors, we learn that charge helps us close the distance between us and an enemy and generates a good amount of rage so we can start hitting things faster. For rogues, they learn about combo points and how spending more on a finisher will deal more damage. Teaching the specifics about classes isn't something that we've seen in a super basic style before, and I'm sure it's going to help brand new players get into the game and quickly see how each class works. After that, we learn about a rather big problem. The island is crawling with undead and necromancers, and they're stealing all of our friends for sacrifices in a great revival of some sort. The rest of the quests take us through the storyline. And I think one of the strongest aspects of this entire sequence is just how many different types of quests you encounter. There's the typical slay and collect quests, but you also have a quest where you rescue friendly NPCs, quests where you zap balls with a quest item to see if they grow larger or just explode, quests where you ride said large boar and decimate an army of undead, quests where you disguise yourself as an ogre to infiltrate an enemy camp. You're even encouraged to wave and dance as the ogre too, giving you an introduction to emotes. It ticks all of the boxes. It's fun, it's exciting, it's well paced, and it shows you all of the basics you're going to need to keep questing through Battle for Azeroth. Or any other expansion for that matter. I think this is the best intro sequence I've played in a long time, and it's going to help keep newer players for longer because they simply get shown more options right from the get-go, but it's not confusing or overwhelming, and believe it or not, they've actually managed to make it fun. You even get another round of class training to teach you how to use certain abilities. Warriors were taught how Execute works, big damage, but can only be used on targets near death to finish them off, while rogues learn about poisons and how to apply them. There's even a group quest or two if you wander off the beaten path, where you're pitted against a rather nasty elite monster, and trust me when I tell you that unlike some quote-unquote group quests that you can actually solo, these ones will require a group. Which means you're going to want to gather up some of the local survivors of your crash, aka other newbies starting for the first time, to try and take these big beasties down. That's going to show you the importance of group play and just how powerful a small group can be when compared to just you running around on your own. This entire experience culminates in a mini dungeon. The only way to complete the intro is to go through the dungeon, so you can't avoid it by the looks of things, but this dungeon works a little differently. You can only really queue in as DPS, so even though you're tanking or healing, you will be marked as a DPS for simplicity's sake, and you can do this dungeon with anywhere from 1 to 5 players. The queue will make you wait for a while to give other players a chance to queue up, but after a certain amount of time, for us it was about 6 minutes, it will just plonk you into the dungeon with whatever you have right then and there. We didn't get any extra players at all, so it was just the 2 of us, and the dungeon itself gives you a tank and healer NPC to work alongside, so you don't have to worry about aggro really or dying too much. The game has that covered for you. You can no doubt chuck some heals out there if you want to, or you can try and take aggro for yourself, but the game will treat you as a DPS almost no matter what. That does mean that even if you're on your own, good old Billy no mates, you can still progress and finish this section because you can do the dungeon by yourself. The only thing that might be a bit annoying is waiting for the queue to let you in. The dungeon itself isn't too super special or amazing. A few abilities are shown off that knock you around and teach you to watch your surroundings, but certainly nothing that will kill you. I would have liked for the dungeon especially to introduce the concept of interrupts and how important they can be. I feel like that's one area of the game where newer players struggle, and they don't ever really get told or taught how impactful interrupts actually are, even though at first glance an interrupt might not seem that powerful. But I guess they wanted to keep it kind of easy and just chill for newer players. If you work through all of the intro here at a relatively decent pace, you'll probably be done in about an hour and a half. Newer players could take up to 2 hours or longer, so it's a pretty meaty storyline for sure. Even though that's technically the end of the new introduction experience, it doesn't just leave you stranded. They take you back to Stormwind, or for the Horde side I would assume Orgrimmar, and show you around the city a little bit. You have a gnome take you to the stables in Old Town to collect your first mount, so right after you get out of this starting experience you will have a new horsey to ride around on. Yep, that's right, your first mount at level 10. You get that whether you go through this new starting area or not. All of the mount levels have changed quite considerably. We get everything so much earlier in Shadowlands, it's going to be kind of crazy, but that means that everybody coming out of this will be mounted straight away. After that you're summoned to the keep, where there's a council going on explaining the importance of the Culturans, and the whole questline feeds nicely into the start of Battle for Azeroth right there. I didn't even notice that's what was happening until we got to the boat to actually take us to Culturas. It was that smooth. Usually you get dropped at the War Chief, or, the War Chief's board or whatever it is, and you have to find your own way around, but now you're given some good direction, and then you're also led straight into a very good questing experience with Battle for Azeroth. I think it's going to work wonders for new player retention. Now, new players will have to go through BFA to get to level 50, but it's at this point that anyone who has already leveled up before can talk to Chromie to choose exactly where they want to go. The overall look of the zone is fantastic as well, and it's definitely a huge upgrade from a lot of the starting areas that you would have otherwise gone through. Imagine logging into WoW for the first time right now. You go to Elowin Forest, or Durotar, or the even older Silvermoon areas. They don't look great, but why would they? They're all quite dated at this point. Having this fresh coat of paint in the form of Exile's Reach is a great way to show that, yeah, WoW can look pretty good, even in the very first starting area. Then you move into BFA, which has some great art, and by the time you get to Shadowlands, those zones are going to blow you away. You don't have to work through several convoluted storylines. You don't have to try and piece together why there's 5 different war chiefs, and you don't get drastically different quality as you move from expansion to expansion. WoW's leveling had gotten so twisted and confusing, it's no wonder new players just decide to drop the game and never come back. I think this intro experience will change all of that, and it couldn't have come at a better time. The changes to WoW's leveling going into the Shadowlands could literally shape the future of the game and usher in a new era where WoW is the undisputed king of MMOs once again. The expansion is certainly shaping up to be amazing so far, and the new intro will ease any new players into the whole experience better than it ever has before. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm super excited about this whole thing. I can't wait to see how everyone takes to the new expansion when it finally launches. But that's the new WoW starter experience in the new zone of Exile's Reach, on the Alliance side anyway. I will test the Horde side when it becomes available and let you know if there are any real differences between the two. What do you think from what you've seen so far? Do you know of any friends or family who tried WoW only to be put off by the lackluster experience at the start of the game? Is there anything specific you would like to see from the Shadowlands Alpha? Leave all your thoughts in the comments section below. If you want to explore the Shadowlands Alpha alongside us, you can join us live at twitch.tv/KalaniTV. A big thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon. You can see their names floating by on screen. If you want to join these lovely guys and gals, you can find a link in the description below. Remember to leave a like just below the video before you leave. If you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. But apart from that, thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always I will see you next time.